Wendy Lachendro with the 412 Project.
Yes.
Here we are in the heart of downtown. Now, you may not get this from the camera shot, but we're inside a beautiful little kiosk right down by Gateway Center. The city is happening around us, and we are surrounded by beautiful photography of Pittsburgh.
Yes, I'm glad you like it.
Well, what is the 412 Project?
Well, it's an idea I had a couple years ago to just highlight the great talent that we have in this city. I was new to Instagram, and I was realizing that Pittsburgh has a ton of great photographers. They do great work, but they're mostly amateur. And is there a way to kind of bring them some exposure? And not only that, but highlight our lovely city as well, because it's so photogenic. So I had stumbled across the robot repair shop down by the Cultural District a few years back and thought that was such a cool idea to have just a pop-up space where you didn't physically come in, you just kind of peeked in and you could see what was going on. So that was my original idea. So it was a year or so in the making and trying to work things out, and finally got together with some great folks from Instagram that I had no idea who they were, but slowly but surely met them, followed them on Instagram. You know, you get to kind of know people by liking their pictures and commenting.
Right, so you just see their like Instagram handle, right? Their like code name on there. Yes. I'm not the best Instagrammer, and
you need to.
I have a lot of questions about that. So now, did you have sort of a curatorial process for this, for choosing the people from Instagram that you wanted to be involved in this project?
Not necessarily. When we opened it up to everyone, what we did is we gave them the general rules, which said, please hashtag your photo. So you had to put forward.
I do know what a hashtag is.
Great.
That's what we used to call a number sign.
Exactly.
Back when we had
I know that. I'm with you there. So the folks would hashtag their photos 412 Project. And then we had this wonderful response. So we had all of this material to pick from. So we as a team decided we were each going to pick 2 people to highlight their photos. So it was very difficult, believe me. I mean, it's hard. In fact, believe it or not, tonight is the night we reveal the artist for round 2.
Oh.
So not only, this is round 1, and then we're going to take these down and put a whole new batch up.
So that first round that you chose, their photos had the opportunity to be displayed here in this indoor kiosk downtown.
Yes.
Which anybody can stop by and take a look at through the windows, right?
Exactly. It's 24/7. We have the lights on a timer, so they're on till about around 11:30 in the evening. And then during the day, obviously, you can just walk by at any point. And so it's kind of threefold. Like I mentioned earlier, obviously we're highlighting the photographers. That was the biggest part of it. But then we're highlighting the city and maybe bringing people some exposure, or letting them see parts of the city that they may have never seen before, right? Or, oh, where is that? Or, oh, I'd like to check that out.
And really the line between amateur and professional has changed a lot, I think, with the fantastic photos that you're just able to take on your phone now.
It's incredible. iPhones are amazing. A lot of these pictures, I mean, a lot of these are just from iPhones, and so they might not be able to get the size of a regular SLR camera, but they still do amazing work. My cousin right now is in Montana. She works at near Glacier National Park, and her pictures are phenomenal, and she is using an iPhone. So it's true.
Now this city, as you said, is very photogenic. It's been photographed so many ways, so many times, over so many years. So now, at this point, what stands out to you as a great photo of Pittsburgh? What now makes a great photo?
I'll tell you what, that's a very good, interesting, kind of tricky question, because I grew up in Pittsburgh. I'm born and raised here. I moved way over the years and came back, always came back. I love the city. I work downtown now, and I honestly have to say I'm amazed at how I can see the same thing in like PPG, for instance. I've taken a million figuratively, but pictures of PPG, but just the lighting at different times, or the time of year, and it's like new to me.
So now if I get schooled a little bit on Instagram, and I consider myself a pretty good amateur photographer, how can I get involved with 412 Project?
Sure. Well, the first thing to do is to look us up at 412 Project and follow us.
Then that's on Instagram.
On Instagram.
The
correct.
at 412 Project on Instagram.
And then you can just keep abreast of the update. So for instance, like I mentioned today, we are gonna hopefully in a couple hours put up the round 2 selected featured artists that we've selected, and then hopefully if this continues, depending on the time frame, we're still sort of working things out. This is all grassroots and new, so we're learning as we go. But if we continue, then we would have, a set time frame where maybe every month and a half, it's going to trade out, because we'll never run out of material. There are, it was hard for us to just pick 2, and you figure for each artist they have hundreds of pictures, right? So it would be great to say, oh, here's 5 of this one artist and 5 of this artist, but you're limited by space, and you want to highlight as many artists as possible. But if you wanted to, then you could follow along, and when we open it up again, you start hashtagging your photos, and then if you get lucky, depending on how it works, you might get selected. So there's no rhyme or reason. We don't have a set thing like we were looking for this certain quality or something. It's just sort of a subjective thing, like what we like, what catches our eye. At least that's how I do it.
And then again, we can walk by and see these photos pretty much anytime here in the little kiosk.
Anytime, yes. And if it continues, which we'd love for it to do, then we had talked about doing specific themes. So right now, it just sort of happened that this first one was pretty much of the city itself. But there's so many opportunities to do various other options. Even if you just said, okay, next round's all going to be black and white, or all bridges, or all parks, or all neighborhoods, or of course, sports teams. So the possibilities are endless of what we can do if it continues. So if anybody wants to have us in their empty storefront, feel free to reach out.
So the gallery then could move in the future.
Correct. It could move, or it could stay here and open up an additional space. We're open to all options.
Very good. So we'll have to keep in touch with you to see what to expect.
Yes.
Now, the one thing I see a lot of people doing when they're doing the photos on their cameras is using filters.
Yes.
To make it look all sorts of crazy ways. Are you a filter kind of gal? Do you favor the filter?
I have to admit, yes. In fact, I used to be a purist back in the day, and I would say to my friend who used Photoshop, like, oh no, I only want what comes out of my camera. Meanwhile, she's like, you don't understand, Wendy. Once you start using these editing tools, you'll love it. And sure enough, on Instagram, I have my normal photo, and then I click through some of the filters, and you're like, wow. Not only that, there's apps that you can even do additional things. So when I started brightening up the colors and lightening, I'm like, wow, this is great. And it's amazing how you can take one picture that looks so dull, and by the time you're done, it's like, wow.
Well, Pittsburgh is beautiful, and I think there really is something to gathering all these different viewpoints of it here in the heart of the city. So we certainly wish you all the best.
Well, thank you
and
so much.
Hope that you and your team are keep snapping photos out there. But now, if you see me stumbling out of Eddie Merlot's, at 1 a.m., just keep the camera.
And then there's Instameets at a couple times.
Oh, we're going way too far down the rabbit hole for me. I mean, I still watch black and white movies and things. I need help.
Digital camera?
Because my understanding, as far as it extends, of Instagram is the Insta part of it, meaning that I just took this on my phone and I'm posting it immediately to Instagram.
Yes.
I think I might have a niche as a downtown Pittsburgh wildlife photographer.
Whoa.
Think about that. The pigeons.
There you go.
The occasional rat.